example of collaboration that's happened across all levels of government, from the federal, state, with Michigan Defense Center and Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Department of Military Veterans Affairs, Merit Network, Macomb County, Sterling Heights. It's a real example of all the partners coming together, and academia too, Oakland University being part of this.
Sterling Heights and the Macomb OU Incubator recently welcomed a new member at Velocity. Velocity serves as a new hub in the Michigan Cyber Range. The Cyber Range is key in training specialists in the art of ethical hacking. The new lab will be used by the private sector to train for cybersecurity.
What we learned from working with the Pentagon, what we've learned from working with the state of Maryland, Virginia, state of Washington, is there's a lot of federal contracts, a lot of federal requirements, especially defense requirements that are just now coming into play. And what's important about a requirement for your audience? If there's no requirement, then the federal government can't spend any money. So in the Army, for instance, cybersecurity requirements are just now being written into federal contracts for wheeled vehicles, tracked vehicles. So you had all this defense activity here in Southeast Michigan, Macomb County, Sterling Heights, and now the federal money is going to start flowing. And then if you're a small business or a defense contractor or a Tier 2, and you have a cybersecurity requirement in your contract, where are you going to find your workforce? Where are you going to do your penetration testing for that federal contract? So by having this, we were afraid a few years ago that if we didn't have a capability where you could train civilians, defense industrial base, small companies could have access, other states would steal defense contracts from us. Now we're in a position where we've got a unique asset here in Sterling Heights where the tables are flipped and we can start bringing in more business.
I think the excitement is there, but this is something where it's a push and a pull, right? I mean, we've got to build it so that they will come. And I think that's what, part of government is casting a vision and understanding where we're going. And we need to build that and help companies understand, especially small companies that are introducing new innovative products too. We want to make sure that their products are secure, software as a solution and so forth, as they put that out there so that they can test those products, make sure that they're secure and they're not a new fledgling company that all of a sudden puts something out there and gets hacked and all of a sudden they're closing down their company a couple of months later.
An official ribbon cutting was held at Velocity to celebrate the cutting-edge technology arriving in the community. And several key speakers had this to say about the new cyber range.
And so when we reached out, there was an incredible amount of interest in helping lift up this defense industry. I got to go back to my former roots in law enforcement, and I tell you, it's exciting to me to see what's going on here, because one of the troubling issues we dealt with in law enforcement wasn't how do you deal with a bad guy that's out there driving drunk or somebody who's robbing somebody's home or stealing from a store. We knew how to deal with that, but the biggest problem we had was dealing with these issues dealing with the internet and cybersecurity. We were at a loss. Why? Because of the training, the education of law enforcement officers. Nobody knew who to turn to, whether it was at the local level, the state level, or even at the federal level.
As I said in the short video that you saw, what we want to do is twofold. First, we want to make the workforce cyber aware. We want to be able to protect ourselves. We want to be able to protect our organizations from a cyber incident. Second is the incubator part, the economic development magnet part, where we want to draw companies from outside the state to places like Macomb County, where we have a ready workforce and put them all to work to make the nation better.
Today begins another exciting chapter in services offered here. The Velocity Cyber Range provides a secure environment for cybersecurity education and training exercises and testing. It provides incredible opportunities to address the growing number and kind of online attacks against our companies, our governmental agencies, and really, as we've heard today, just about everything.
And we really have to bring those public-private partnerships together in order to be effective against this incredibly significant threat that we face as a country and really all across the world.
Sterling Heights Mayor Michael Taylor is excited to see the cyber range open in Sterling Heights.
We heard from a number of presenters talking about how important cybersecurity is today. Everything from your refrigerator to your toaster to your automobile, which is going to be self-driving soon. This is the new frontier, as they say, and right here in Sterling Heights, we're making sure that our local small businesses, even to big businesses like Ford and Chrysler, are protected from cyber attacks. So a great day here at the Velocity Center in Sterling Heights.
The City of Sterling Heights gave residents a chance to have their voices heard and how they'd like to see the city look in the future. A visioning fair was held recently at the Sterling Heights Senior Center, in which participants broke off into committees to discuss what they would like to see in the future. The visioning fair is part of the city's master plan and Parks and Recreation plan, as city planner Chris McLeod explains.
As part of this whole process the master plan goes forward, it's going to be important to learn what the residents want to see, and this exercise was very valuable in providing that input. And so it's very critical that this information is added to the master plan, and then that master plan then sets the tone for the rest of the day-to-day operations that as the city planner I'll be implementing in site plan reviews and discussing ordinances with residents and so forth.
The Visioning Fair gives residents a chance to discuss what they would like to see, according to City Manager Mark Vanderpool.
And so it's important to hear from the residents and see what they have in mind in terms of what should Sterling Heights look like, what should we be in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And that includes development, it includes improving our neighborhoods, it includes improving parks and recreation, our bike hike trails, our roadways, and all of that. So this is very valuable. Once we get through these sessions, then we'll start to finalize our plan.
Thought it was informative. I like the small group atmosphere, because then you're not talking out in front of a large group, so you're more apt to contribute. And I like that. I like the people that we were sitting with, because they did all the work. We just had to verbally tell them what we wanted. I thought there was a lot of points. I learned a lot, and I would hope that I can tell other people so that they can come and talk.
This was the second Visioning Fair, with the previous being held in December. There will be one more, which will be held on April 20th.
So April 20th is the next opportunity to provide official community input, but obviously at any point the website is available for providing community input, as well as every day at the planning desk. I mean, if you have an idea or have a question, feel free to come into the city, ask to talk to me directly, or give me a call, shoot me an email, whatever the case is. I'll be more than glad to take that input and then provide it to the technical team for the master plan, and try to get that information into the master plan itself. So.
March 31st is fast approaching, and that date can be overwhelming to some in the community. Macomb County Treasurer Derek Miller visited SHTV recently to let residents know how they can keep Macomb their home. When taxes haven't been paid on a parcel, the court gives 27 months for the property to be made current. March 31st represents a deadline for 2,800 properties in Sterling Heights that did not pay their taxes in 2013. The Macomb County Treasurer's Office has been working hard to get the payment for those taxes, and of the 2,800 properties, only 89 are still outstanding. Macomb County Treasurer Derek Miller explains the best option for those 89 property owners before they forfeit their property at the end of March.
That's why we're out there and we're trying to do interviews such as this one to let folks know that even if you can't pay your, say, $3,000 in delinquent taxes for the year of 2013 and the March 31st deadline is approaching and you're nervous, you're maybe a little bit uninformed or uneducated on the issue of taxes, and you don't have $3,000 just sitting around to pay your taxes off, we don't want you or that to prevent you from coming and asking for help. We partner up with MSU Extension to teach people financial literacy, to really personalize their own financial difficulties, to get them the help they need, so that even if they cannot pay us in full, we put them on a payment plan and we defer their foreclosure. We extend that foreclosure and give them an opportunity to stay in their homes. as a county treasurer, the last thing we want to do is be involved in the real estate business. We want people to stay in their homes. We want their kids going to the local schools. We want those folks to be productive members of the community.
Mr. Miller explains why the county pushes to work out an arrangement with landowners.
Well, because you have to look at the big picture. You have to see what's happening in other communities where maybe, you know, they didn't allow those payment plans to take place, or they just, a lot of counties come February 5th, like we had the foreclosure order by the court. A lot of counties on that day, come March, they close the door and they don't allow extensions and things of that nature, don't go the extra, take the extra effort to get people involved. And then they're stuck with thousands of pieces of property they're trying to sell. You look at places like Genesee County, they take in a land bank and the government starts owning properties and trying to fix up properties, and all of a sudden the county owns a quarter of the homes in Flint and across Genesee County. You look at Wayne County and what they're doing without trying to really stay ahead of it and get people the help they need. You know, I think when you look at problems that relate to taxes, it really comes down to a fundamental lack of education on finances and how the tax system is structured. So we want to make sure that people are educated. That's why we've partnered with MSU Extension, and when we sit down with them and teach them and let them see and understand how they got into this mess, or how taxes are supposed to be paid biannually, then I think you get a little bit of an understanding. They understand the problems, how they got to that situation, and move forward. They become better and more productive paying members, taxpayers for Macomb County. It makes Macomb County and local communities stronger.
Property owners not communicating with the city's assessment office could face heavy penalties in the future that can be avoided.
Well, if they don't report, then the local community sends an assessor out to their business, and then they assess the property at a value. And sometimes, because that action is taken through the local assessor's office, is out of the small business owner's hands at that point, and they may get assessed at a higher rate. Then they have to appeal, and who wants to go through all that? So another thing that small business owners need to know is that if there is an $80,000 exemption, so if they have less than $80,000 of equipment for their particular small business, there should be exempted. A lot of small business owners aren't proactive, aren't informed as to that rule and that exemption that they could qualify for, and don't file for it or don't request it. So then they're getting assessed on those taxes when they should have been exempt from paying personal property taxes, but because they didn't take the proper steps, they find themselves delinquent.
The Sterling Heights Fire Department will take part in a county-wide training session in the next few months. Macomb County was allotted $60,000 from the state, mainly comprised of money raised from the Fireworks Act, with $48,000 of it going to Flashover Training. 750 firefighters from the 25 fire departments in the county will be using the training implemented by the fire instructors from Oakland Community College, who has a flashover simulator that will be used for the exercise. Flashover is an extremely dangerous circumstance that firefighters may deal with when battling a blaze. As the fire gives out heat, it ignites particles and gases in the air that brings the heat inside of a fire up to 900 to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. This training allows firefighters to learn what to look for prior to a flashover. Firefighters caught unprepared by a flashover may face fatal consequences.
This is Flashover Training. Flashover Training is a live fire evolution. It allows even seasoned firefighters to experience the different levels of heat within a burning building to identify when a fire becomes unsafe for them to still be in the fire, or to change their tactics in order to make sure that they come out not burned, heaven forbid, that they pass away and it becomes a line of duty death.
When there was county-wide money to be used for this training, Sterling Heights signed up and will be hosting one of the training sessions at the old Sunnybrook Golf and Bowl.
Oh, it's a huge benefit. We don't have the budget allocated resources to be able to do these kinds of trainings without help from other sources. And so when we had the state money that we threw together with the fireworks and the vendors that are helping out as well, it makes it a lot easier to do. We still have to cover the personnel expenses, but it's a lot easier when we get the overhead costs covered.
I should also mention the remaining $12,000 will go to Macomb Community College for further training. That's going to wrap up this edition of Sterling Report. Till next time, take care.